I'd like to tell you a tale that's uplifting in many ways. How I saved my career and became Dad of the Year in the space of a few short days. I guess you could say that it all began back in March when I made the plan to hit the road and leave the city with my young son and my wife Mary. Now my wife Mary had a bad fever and I wasn't feeling that great either. The danger was that if I got ill we'd have an urgent childcare gap to fill. So being the heroic dad I am and a committed family man, I set about finding a solution. Soon came to the conclusion that unless we put the boy up for adoption, we really only had one option. After all, we were highly contagious. So I did what any courageous dad would do at the very least. Took the family on a mini break, sightseeing in the northeast. That's what we did. Many say they've seen strange comings and goings all over this land. They don't get it. I've made sacrifices that they just don't understand. As I turned the key in the ignition, my first thought was the famous Durham Dad of the Year competition. I'd come close to winning before, but this time I wanted it so much more. I was even willing to break the law to realize my ambition. I was such a great dad, I got out my thermometer and took our temperatures every kilometre till we arrived at our destination. Mary said I deserve a standing ovation and the acclaim of a grateful nation. We arrived at night and unpacked our stuff. My son was sick and Mary looked rough, and in the morning Mary was delirious. That's when I knew it was serious. Thinking fresh air would do us good, we went for a walk in the woods. We strolled through the bluebells. It was a wonderful treat. The other dads couldn't compete. Yeah, I broke a few rules, but it's not like I ran through a field of wheat. And anyway, you get bonus points for being thoughtful, whether or not your good deeds are lawful. Many say they've seen strange comings and goings all over this land. They don't get it. I've made sacrifices that they just don't understand. The final round of the competition was a practical test of each dad's vision. The dad who had the very best eyes would walk away with first prize. I was nervous, between you and me, since getting ill I just couldn't really see properly. My vision was hazy. You might think to drive in my condition was crazy. I still wasn't sure I was safe to drive home, but I thought I could kill two birds with one stone. I figured if I test my eyes while I drive with the family in the car and we all survive, not only would I know I could drive home without fear, I'd be bound to be crowned Dad of the Year. And if I began to feel queer, my son could always steer. Many say they've seen strange comings and goings all over this land. They don't get it. I've made sacrifices that they just don't understand. So I got in the car. I was dizzy and nauseous. I knew deep down I should have been cautious. I was sweating and my heart was pounding. The answer to whether I could see was a resounding no. So to keep the show on the road I made a judgment call. I was blind as a bat, but I didn't want to spaff my one shot of glory up the wall. They say good artists borrow and great artists steal. Good fathers follow the rules with zeal, but great fathers follow their instincts. So I drove blindly as fast as I could. The judges were in raptures. They said this perfectly captures the essence of fatherhood. They asked if I'd accept their award, and I said, oh yes I would. My victory speech at the ceremony was inspiring and moving to many. Tears were shed as I humbly said I did what any dad would do. Ask not what you can do for your country, but what your country can do for you. So would I do anything differently if I had my time again? As my European friends would say, je ne regrette rien. Many say they've seen strange comings and goings all over this land. They don't get it. I've made sacrifices that they just don't understand. Oh, they just